going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. Today's video is going to be another stroll down memory lane because 15 years ago, almost to the day when this video goes live, I went to my second Kiss show, which was at the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia on October 12th, 2009 during the Alive 35 tour. A little while back, I did a video talking about the first Kiss concert I attended, which landed around the time of that show's 20th anniversary. If you want to peel back, go ahead and check that video out. And I decided to make this a sort of ongoing series where I talk about all the times that I saw Kiss over the years. This video will provide some testimonials from that day, such as the fact that I had the flu and I still made it to the show, and I have some long-lasting mementos that I got at the show that are still in my collection that I'm eager to share with you guys, as well as some cool photos that I took at the time as well. There's a lot to get through, so enough of the chit-chat. Let's jump into what this video is all about. After the first time I saw Kiss on the Rock the Nation tour in 2004, there was this sort of period afterwards where they didn't do any major touring aside from one-off shows here and there. But between the Kissology DVDs and the Gene Simmons Family Jewels show, it was still an exciting time to be a Kiss fan. Then in 2008, going into 2009, they launched the Alive 35 tour in Australia, Europe, and South America, and that's when there was a buzz that they may come to the States. And I remember dates were announced in the summer of 2009, and we got our tickets, and the US leg of the tour coincided with the release of Sonic Boom. Now, let's take a look back in time, and this is something that I think a lot of older fans tend to miss. For myself, as a young Kiss fan, Sonic Boom was a huge deal because I had more or less accepted that Psycho Circus would be the last Kiss record since it had been 11 years since that album came out. But here I was able to witness my favorite band releasing a new album. It was a time where being a Kiss fan was truly fun, between seeing all the Kiss Online updates, seeing what the new costumes would look like, hearing modern day Delilah for the first time, DVRing all the TV appearances that they did at the time, and of course the big day of Tuesday, October 6th, when my dad took me to our local Walmart and I picked up a copy of Sonic Boom that I literally brought to school with me, and I had to wait to listen to it when I got home. And I can say that that CD copy bought on that day of release is this copy that I'm holding here in my hands. All of this was as good as it got to experiencing that magic and excitement that Kiss fans got to experience when they were as young as me back in the 70s. The show took place at the Wachovia Center, which is now known as the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, on October 12th, 2009, coincidentally Columbus Day that year. Keep in mind, that fall time of year is generally prone from getting small colds and bouts of illness, and sure enough, I didn't come down with rock and roll pneumonia, but with a 101 fever and signs of fatigue, it was a full-blown fever. Now, if you asked me if I wanted to see Kiss that night, I probably would have been perplexed, and I woke up the next morning on the 12th, still feeling iffy, and I was watching TV clips I had taped of Kiss performing on Jimmy Kimmel and David Letterman, thinking how in the hell I was supposed to make it to this show. But I knew in the back of my mind I wasn't going to miss it. Now, thankfully, because of the cool parents that I have, they were pondering on what to do, and one of my mom's friends suggested that they'd still take me to the show. So sure enough, we got some cheesesteaks for dinner. I popped some Tylenol. Myself, my parents, and my godmother got in the car, and we made our way to Philly. Now, I remember we listened to Sonic Boom during most of the drive, but as we got near Philly, we switched over to Alive 2. And I remember vividly crossing over the Walt Whitman Bridge, and the sun was setting, and it was this fantastic view, and King of the Nighttime World was playing, and it was at that exact moment that adrenaline sort of kicked in, and I wasn't feeling that illness that I was feeling 24 hours prior. My excitement was honed in on this show, and I was ready. Real quick, I did bring my digital camera to this show, and I took some shots before, during, and after the show that I'll share throughout the video. But once we got to the venue, I noticed the Gene Simmons bus, which I believe was the bus he used to get around on that tour from what I saw on the Family Jewels episodes of the time. Despite these shots being dark, here I am posing in front of the bus. Once we got to the venue, I made a beeline, of course, for the merch booth, and I managed to snag some things that I'm glad to say I still have in my personal collection. I did get the tour program that was sold exclusively for this leg of the tour, which has tons of great live shots and some photos of the band with the then new costumes. I also got a shirt which had the Sonic Boom cover on the front and said on the bottom, another classic. And I swore I wore that shirt at least once a week for at least a couple of years. We got to our seats, and to the best of my recollection, we were sitting in, I want to say, section 112, just off the floor, and the opening act was Buck Cherry. I already knew the radio hits such as Lit Up, Crazy Bitch, and Sorry, and they also did a great cover of Deep Purple's Highway Star. But overall, they did a pretty solid set. Then, of course, that magic feeling hits when the Kiss curtain drops during the changeover, house lights hit, and the show was off to the races. Now, the set list was as follows: Deuce, Strutter, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Hotter Than Hell, Got to Choose, Modern Day Delilah, Come On and Love Me, She, Parasite, 100,000 Years, I Love It Loud, Black Diamond, Rock and Roll All Night, Shout It Out Loud, Lick It Up, Cold Gin, Love Gun, and Detroit Rock City. So one of the appealing parts of the Alive 35 set list was the focus of the tracks featured on Kiss Alive. When the European tour launched, they were more or less performing the album in its entirety, and as the tour progressed to the US, they took some songs out and swapped a few placements. So out of all the Kiss shows I had seen, this set list was certainly one of the coolest ones I had heard. As great as it was hearing a sort of truncated rendering of the greatest live album of all time, I waved the Sonic Boom flag very high, and the highlight of the night was hearing Modern Day Delilah performed. What was also unique was this set was that they sort of capped the main part of the show with Rock and Roll All Night, and the rest of the show, starting from Shout It Out Loud, was like a mini set as opposed to getting 2 to 3 encores typically. Outside of the set list, the staging was also fresh for this leg of the tour after recycling the farewell tour stage for a good part of 8 years. It was cool to see the square video screens spread around the stage and the light up Kiss logo serving as a base for Eric's drum riser on the bottom of the stage. Overall, it was an excellent show, and just like I said, as we made our way to Philly, my bout of illness was almost entirely eliminated and I was lost in the excitement and energy of the show. One moment I'll remember from the show was that my dad and I were singing along to the Kiss Alive tracks, which was nice since my dad had the honor of seeing Kiss back in early 1975 when those songs were relatively new. So it was cool to have that wholesome father-son moment. I did also take some photos during the show with my camera. They're a little juvenile in today's standards, but I'm glad that I have these snapshots to commemorate the show. And of course, like the first Kiss show that I saw, Concert Online recorded the shows and made them available for purchase afterwards. So after the show, I got my CD copy. However, it only featured disc 1 of the show, and I had to get disc 2 and the setlist sheet mailed out. But still, it is an absolutely awesome souvenir. They also sold the shows on a USB wristband as well. So even for a non-CD consumer, this was a cool option. And it's thanks to this CD that I get to relive this show continuously to this day, 15 years later. Now, unfortunately, outside of these post-show Concert Online CDs, there aren't too many official releases from this tour. The 2 Kobo shows that kicked the tour off were filmed, and there was talk of a live DVD or inclusion on a Kissology Volume 4, but as of now, it's never been released. Some say that this was the start of Paul's vocals starting to decline. I thought he sounded okay, so maybe there's some reservations to put out anything from this period, but at the same token, the people who were there to see this tour and see the release of Sonic Boom can live to tell all about it, just like myself. So there you guys go. That's my look back on while battling the flu. I saw my second Kiss concert 15 years ago. Did you attend this show or any shows from the US Alive 35 tour? If so, what are your recollections? Please leave a comment down below. I'd love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. And most importantly, keep the records spinning.